£5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel. Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, I'm Alex Armstrong, and this is Alex Armstrong Tonight, late edition.
On Monday, I will announce the most significant changes to our asylum system in modern times.
Yes, this massive announcement is dominating tomorrow's front pages. The Home Secretary unveils her grand asylum plan. First, states face the new visa scheme as lawyers and MPs are reportedly torpedoing the proposals. Who would have guessed it, eh? Meanwhile, asylum seekers are set to confront a 20-year wait to settle in the UK. Also,
we need a general election now.
yes, that's exactly what we want. Please deliver it, Sir Keir Starmer. That'll be the best thing you've ever done. But do you feel rich? Because 3 in 4 top-rate taxpayers say they don't. And leading on the Express this evening, early release sparks outrage as victims' families call it a betrayal. Also,
just not fair to go through all that hard work and not get appreciated in the UK.
well, apparently striking doctors dwindled to a record low. And on my panel to discuss all of this tonight, it's comedian Paul Cox, senior reporter at Guido Fawkes, Ellie Wheatley, and Labour councillor Sebastian Salek. And a reminder, of course, of that exclusive interview with Donald Trump this weekend.
I'm so saddened to see what happened in Europe with the immigration.
Welcome to the show, everybody. We will be going through your front pages, hot off the press tonight. Let's go through them together. The Metro, cruel to be kind. Biggest migrant reforms for a generation. The Eye, asylum seekers face 20-year wait to settle in the UK as new protests held at migrant site. The Guardian, most sweeping reforms to asylum rules in a generation to be unveiled. The Mail, lawyers and Labour MPs to torpedo Mahmood's asylum plan. The Times, First states face visa ban in migrant returns push. The Telegraph. Take back migrants or face visa ban. The Express. Early release, a betrayal of victims' families. The Star. Join our bid to crown Daily Star legend, Queen of the Jungle. The Star bid for Kelly Brook to win I'm a Celeb. What's that show? Never heard of it. The Sun. Maddie's suspects camp. Nowhere to hide. Lawyers vow to fight on if fiend flees abroad. The Mirror. New humiliation for Andrew. Get him off our islands. Falklanders authorities remove every plaque bearing war veteran's name. Fantastic stuff. And, of course, I've got my superstar panel with me tonight. Labour councillor Sebastian Selleck, senior reporter Guido Fawkes, Ellie Wheatley, and comedian and GB News contributor Paul Cox. Well, Paul, I'll start with you because, of course, dominating the front pages, Shabana Mahmood, a potential next Prime Minister, because it seems like someone's going to be taking that job off of Keir Starmer's hands soon. But she's leading with this 20-year wait to settle in the UK for asylum seekers. What do you make of it? Do you trust them?
I mean, first things first, everybody in that cabinet's possibility of being the next Prime Minister. Literally everybody has put their hat in the ring one way or the other. Look, it's superbly and spectacularly right-wing and populist from Mahmood here, and I assume she's got some support within the cabinet and isn't acting autocratically. And it will be very popular with certain aspects of the electorate, some of the electorate that we watch in this show tonight. Unfortunately for her, and probably for those that are interested in this working, it's simply not going to get through the blob. By the blob, I mean the human rights lawyers and the backbench Labour MPs, of which there are hundreds. Yeah. We're not talking about one or two here.
Yeah, the Daily Mail here is leading with this story, isn't it, Paul? But lawyers and Labour MPs to torpedo Mahmood's asylum plan. I mean, this is what we expect, isn't it? The problem with the Labour Party is just not united, is it?
It is, and as much as I want to just single out the Labour Party and have a go at them for an hour, it's become obvious to me that a lot of the blob, the uni-party type top MPs, do not care for the electorate. We know they don't care for the electorate because manifesto after manifesto after manifesto has promised to solve this problem and never has done, and each of those MPs is responsible for making sure that it hasn't done. Mahmood now, OK, great, this is great rhetoric, it's the sort of stuff we want to hear, particularly on this channel, but there are 50,000 horses that have bolted from this stable, now the gate's being shut behind. I'm not sure how this helps. It will be interesting to see, and what I don't want to do is pour scorn all over it this early and be too cynical about it, because it's the type of politics I'd like to see. It's interesting that the Metro have gone cruel to be kind, like it's cruel to deal with
She's
criminals.
going to have a real struggle getting this through the Parliament. I think there'll be probably a parliamentary rebellion on this. I mean, even Labour MP Tony Vaughan, who's not necessarily the usual suspect on this, has come out against it. We obviously know that people like Nadia Whittome and those MPs would naturally come against it. They are the sort of the Labour welfare rebellion group. Those guys will come out against it. I don't think she's going to have an easy time getting this through at all.
Yeah, just to talk about this a little bit more, Ellie, so the refugee status, when someone comes to, will get reviewed every 30 months, which is quite interesting. Those wishing to settle permanently will have to wait 20 years, as we know. Anyone fleeing unrest will have to return home when their country becomes safe again.
Yes, but as we were saying earlier, in Denmark, they've had a real difficulty trying to return refugees whose countries are now safe because of human rights law, ECHR in particular. So there will, as the Daily Mail says, lawyers might torpedo this plan. And a lot of these measures, including the asylum seekers, the refugees will not get handouts immediately. That's not true. That's not, because they can't work and they have to be housed somewhere if they do not have their asylum claim actually processed and green-lit. So that's another thing that's a little bit wishy-washy and sort of blown out of proportion in some of these headlines. It's like, whoa, look at Shabana Mahmood. Also, by the way, Starmer's in a bit of a catch-22 here, because if she does do well on this and brings the numbers down, and like in Denmark, 90% claims go down by 90%, then she's the next potential candidate to be leader. So it's a difficult one, even for him in either way.
Well, this was going to be my question to you. Do you think this is going to stop illegal migration? Because I don't think it will, because it assumes two things. One, that a country will be deemed safe again, which, you know, if you're looking at somewhere like Afghanistan, you could forever declare that that country is never going to be safe. I mean, at what point in time has it been safe by our standards in the last 100 years, even 200 years? I don't think you could even go there at that point. So this is really a kind of, I think it's a little bit of a farce. It looks strong.
And also you have to remember, though, that asylum seekers sometimes are actually in the UK for years before they're actually given refugee status. And in that time, they do live off the state because they're not allowed to work. So I don't know. And also, Labour councils, they offer lots of freebies, like discounts on line bike rides, saunas, gyms. You know, we've done a lot of this, like Guido. So whether or not the perks are still there in the UK to mean that people actually got leaving France, a safe country, to come to the UK, I mean, there's so many other things that needs to be done here.
Yes, and Sebastian, I'll come on to you on the front page of the Times here. Part of this plan, and we're talking about elements of this plan now, is just to, you know, basically have visa bans for certain countries. We've got 3 listed here: Angola, Namibia, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. This is that basically, if they don't take back their illegal migrants, we'll strip visas and we'll stop issuing new visas. I really like this kind of tough talk. Do you think that the Home Secretary needs to go further here and say, actually, there are other countries like Afghanistan and others that we need to be a bit tougher with, or do you think this is going to be a very difficult battle for her?
Well, I think you have to do this incrementally, especially if it's something this punchy, this politically challenging, and this new, frankly. We haven't done this before, to my knowledge, and I'm happy to be corrected on that. It makes sense to start with a smattering of countries, see how that goes. You are then entering into potential diplomatic disputes, which you have to be very wary of as well, and then progress based on that. It's one of those issues where you just have to try it, see what works, iterate.
Sebastian, she's said to be, you know, reading, this is the front page of the Times, so I don't know, I haven't spoken to her personally, unfortunately. Mahmoud is said to have been inspired by Trump's Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, who has overseen the US's mass deportation. So we've got
That's her allies briefing that, by the way. They're going, oh, she's been inspired by Trump. You know, I'm sorry, that's...
This sounds like... but the point I was getting to, and you're absolutely right, Ellie, the point I was getting to, Sebastian, is this is very PR heavy, isn't it? This is leadership bid territory.
I think it's doing your job territory. If you're Home Secretary and you've come in, what do you want, or what does the country expect from you? I'm sure everybody watching at home, who particularly is going to feel this way because they're GB News viewers, it's the politics they hold,
but is
going to feel hard.
Is this who she's trying to win over? Because I don't know, and some of you at home may be won over by the Labour Party on this story, but I don't know. When I speak to a lot of Brits who are on the right, at least, of politics, if we can describe it that way, would trust Labour. Even if they bring out this policy, it's not going to change their minds.
Well, it's about the impact of the policy, because remember, you're not going to have a say in who the government is until 2028, 2029.
Well,
so
maybe earlier
what
than
they're
that.
hoping to do is go to the people at that point and say, look what we've done, look what we've achieved, here's the evidence, now give us another
But just back on the point that it's just her doing her job, it's interesting that Starmer hasn't really been mentioned in any of this. Do you remember the one in, one out deal? That was obviously a home office thing. That was Starmer announcing it. That was his big win. Starmer, in any of the headlines that I've seen over the weekend, he's not mentioned at all. This is Mahmoud's thing, and I think that shows where she's positioning herself here.
No, they smell blood.
Yes,
That's exactly what they smell. And this, by the way, it is the first time, Sebastian, you're absolutely right. And the reason it is this is a 30-year project that's coming to a rather failing end. If you go right the way back to the Blair government, 2 things happened simultaneously. We essentially opened up our borders because we wanted a prop-up economy, which was booming at the time, with cheap labour, so we needed to do so. And we devalued our immigration service. One thing a lot of people don't understand is that back in the late 90s, early 2000s, each immigration officer was a very well-qualified person indeed that could speak several languages and were also given delegated authority to make the decision on whether someone could plead asylum. You could turn up at Heathrow or on the shores of the UK and say, I plead asylum. That immigration officer could have said, no, and sent them on their way. That's not possible anymore because of the ECHR, which was there anyway. By the way, it's now interpreted now. Anyone who pleads asylum immediately goes into the asylum system. Well, so everybody who pleads asylum becomes part of the system.
Doesn't that show, though, that we don't have to get rid of the ECHR to fix the problem?
We might not have to, Sebastian. I agree on that. I think we will have to ultimately, because the human rights lawyers rely on it entirely to do their job. So if you take away the ECHR and rebuild it, because we could quite easily do that in a right and proper way for the people of this country, you could rebuild it in a way that doesn't allow the human rights lawyers in through the back door, because they're going to be able to stop this.
Well, we were talking in the previous hour about countries like Germany and like Greece that are purportedly circumventing the system and managing to get what they want. They're also signatories to the ECHR, so surely that's not the blocker here.
Well, there's also internal domestic legislation, Human Rights Act and other things that will pose threats to us. But I just wanted to pose this on the back of what I was saying to Sebastian, to you, Paul, because Peter Jeffries here, is one of our members, wrote in and said, Alex, it's all pretend for number 10. The only way we will see a stopping of illegal migrants is a change of government. And this is what I mean when I was posing this question to you. Yes, it might be tough talk, but do British people believe this is going to change anything? And secondly, I think when you poll them time and time again, what they really want, Paul, is for these people that have come here and do come here to just go home. They don't care. They don't want them here for 20 years to figure out whether they're going to be allowed to stay. They don't want to be putting them on benefits for 20 years. They just want them to go.
Well, Mahmood's on manoeuvres. She's politicking. It's like we're having a mini general election season at the moment, because we have a Prime Minister in Keir Starmer who's very much on the rocks, and everybody's just waiting for May. And I don't mean Theresa May, by the way. That's not an exclusive. What I mean is, in May, when we have the next bunch of elections, that's going to put pay to Starmer, and it gives people now 6 months. And Mahmood is setting her stall out with this, saying, I can be leader of this country. I know what the problems are. Just like Nigel Farage, who's incredibly popular at the moment, I am going to do something about it. The problem that she's got is she works for the Labour Party.
Yeah. Well, there you go. This torpedoing of Mahmood's plans will really, really upset the status quo, won't it? But will it do what needs to happen in the Labour Party? Because if Labour MPs do torpedo this plan and they rebel and the government back down, one, will it prove the government is now finished because it's too weak to pass legislation it needs that the country wants? And two, will it stop Mahmood from becoming potential PM?
Well, I think, number one, I really doubt that most of these measures will actually get through the Labour Party. These backbenchers have successfully overturned any welfare spending cuts, and that was, and this is an issue that's close to many of those on the left's heart, because they think it's, it's not compassionate, and they have a really emotive argument against this. So she will really, really struggle to get this through. And even if she did, by the way, I still think that there's not enough time for them to any of the numbers to see success in this. Starmer does not have that time. Labour does not have that time. I think there will probably be an election in 27. I mean, Nigel Farage has predicted that, and I don't disagree with that prediction, because people are so unhappy with immigration, the economy, and all other things that we discussed.
Talk me through the political strategy there. I'm genuinely interested. Why would
How about you do...
Prime Minister Starmer goes to the country?
1 second, we will come back to this.
Okay.
I'd like to hear this. We've got to leave it there, but we'll come back to this. We'll come back to this, because the Daily Express are also saying here, the top of their newspaper, gimmicks won't stop the boat. So you can see what the Daily Express think about this. But coming up, is there anything Labour won't tax? Because your milkshake may not bring all the boys to the yard for much longer. Because believe it or not, a milkshake tax could be just around the corner. We'll reveal all after the break.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters. Real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact is Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
There's a lot of tables out there that won't just have turkey on it. There'll be turkey and ham, and but I know some people that will cook 3 or 4 different meats. And obviously the joy of having turkey is that you can then make a turkey curry for Boxing Day and the subsequent days. So, you should be having days of curry after your turkey lunch. I think for the masses, it's still hugely popular. You know, through the festive period at the Dog, we will have hundreds of people having Christmas parties, and most of them will order our turkey lunch or dinner. And then Christmas Day, we could sell it probably 3 or 4 times. The demand for people to go out for the traditional turkey roast is still massive. But hey, look, if you don't like a roast lunch, then why force yourself to have it on the, you know, probably one of the most important meals of the day in terms of bringing family together.
What about Sophie's point, Mark, about cost and spending £30, £40 on turkey? That is simply too expensive for lots of people.
Yeah, I'll never be able to defend or debate that. You know, I know more than anyone the challenges around food inflation, and a good turkey has become a huge cost. But I still think where people can afford the tradition, the joy of coming together, sharing a big turkey roast meal it's a brilliant Christmas tradition. But yeah, the food inflation, that's something we've talked about a number of times, isn't it? You know, it's crippling our business and it's crippling people at homes. I suppose the key thing to look at is if you know what you're doing with it, a good turkey will feed the family for many days. It's not just one meal.
GB News, the People's Channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, the Chancellor is expected to announce a tax on milkshakes in the budget. I mean, it's getting ridiculous, isn't it? It's just getting absolutely ridiculous. Currently, the soft drinks industry levy applies to drinks such as Coke and Iron Brew. Producers pay at least 18 pence per litre on soft drinks containing 5 grams or more of sugar per 100 millilitres. Dairy-based drinks have been exempt from the tax so far, but it appears that might change. There you go, everybody. That's your story. I mean, I think the ridiculousness about all of this stuff, and Ellie, I'll start with you because you're a bit like me. You love the sort of looking at the policy stuff. It's just that they're so desperate for an economic policy that they're looking at every little thing.
Well, it's not just
what
that.
About milkshakes?
But they're desperate to raise, and I'm finding now that Reeves has U-turned on U-turn again on raising income tax. She has to look at this smorgasbord of tax hikes. There's going to be mansion tax, exit tax. By the way, the exit tax ridiculous because everyone's just going to flee before it's implemented, right? And all of these sort of smatterings of tax, which are economy tanking, but also will raise far less money than they actually think, or the Treasury hopes to. So it's just, I mean, this budget is going to be a disaster, and I can't see how Rachel Reeves can cling on after it, to be honest.
No, but the Prime Minister's not got a choice. He can't sack her because, as we've already said, once she goes, he's next.
Yeah.
Sebastian, I think one of the things the British public, the reason why I think this damning polls come out about the Chancellor is that and now is more unpopular than Kwasi Kwarteng, which I think, you know, if you're a homeowner, that would be quite hard a pill to swallow, but now even they're saying, you know, these lot are worse. This is not good. I mean, Labour were trying to attack the Tories on the mini-budget. Now they've lost that credibility, clearly, because now Rachel Reeves is seen as less popular than when that happened. This is bad. You're looking at milkshakes for a potential, like, raising money for the country because, again, your party's worried about income tax being a manifesto pledge break and that actually this is going to finish them off. It's just a circle of death at this moment for the party, isn't it? It's spiralling.
I don't know why we were pretending that the economy was beautiful and it was all sunshine in July 2014 or 2024 and then everything just spiralled from there. This has been an absolute disaster, and I can't use ruder words than that because we're still on air, for years and years and years and years. And yes, has come in
through the roof
to fix the problem. Of course, you're going to be unpopular if you're the one who's pulling the levers. Now, look, I think it's quite smart to go after the milkshake stuff because who's paying the tax there? It's big producers like Coca-Cola.
No.
I'd much rather they paid the tax.
No,
than
because they just raise the prices.
Well, it's up to them what they do. If they want to be less competitive.
Well, naturally, they're going to raise the prices.
That's what they'll tell you, because they'll try and scare you.
These big bosses are not going, oh, we'll just take it on ourselves. You know,
they're
we'll just
operating in a market. They can only raise prices so much.
But they have been. And the national insurance contribution, that hike, as Sainsbury's bosses, Morrison's, Asda, all of these big chains have said that has raised the prices of your butter,
don't buy
your milk.
Into the spin. Don't eat the Coca-Cola PR manual.
I'm sorry, that is just general, like that's running a business.
Well, it is
You're not going to just front that.
Running a business is we can't charge £10 a milkshake because no one will buy them.
You
have to be competitive in the market.
Okay, fine. But if if all of these supermarkets are raising their prices because they have to, because their costs have gone up because of tax hikes, then they're all raising it. So it's not like there's, Lidl hasn't raised their prices at all. Lidl's always been cheaper than Waitrose. People still go to Waitrose.
Some can pass the costs on, some can take a hit on the shareholders.
I mean, listen, it does seem desperate, doesn't it, when you hear there's going to be a milkshake tax next. It screams desperation. I think what people want to see and what's spooking the markets, what's spooking the British public, is they don't see coherent economic policy. There's no ideology behind it. It's completely all over the place. The Chancellor has, number 11, have put more kites out to signal what taxes they want to do than I think I've seen my entire lifetime in politics. I've never seen so many economic policies flown around, yet then you turned a week later.
So much to dig into there. Sebastian said a couple of things there which I found really interesting. Sebastian, you're a clever man. I know you are. I've worked with you a few times. But the idea that Coca-Cola won't win, irrespective of what goes on with the budget, is for the birds. Coca-Cola will win from here to eternity.
When you say win, what do you mean?
Well, it doesn't matter. Ellie's absolutely right. If Coca-Cola have a monopoly, if Coca-Cola are anything to do with the milkshake market, and I'm not an expert on that, then it's not going to affect them. The price can go up. The supermarket can take the price hike. And so
who would you rather tax, the working person or Yazoo?
But that's not how it works,
this is the price the working people are paying.
Yeah,
that's not how it works.
As we were talking about earlier, salaries have not risen in line with inflation. Inflation is being fueled by all these tax hikes. It is the working person that actually, in the end, fronts the cost of all of this.
And you could either tax everybody via increasing income tax, or you could only tax the small quadrant that like to drink milkshakes. I know what I'd rather do.
The problem is, Sebastian, how do you come up with that?
But it's this.
Let's go for the milkshake, people.
You've got to find money from somewhere, haven't you? That is the challenge here.
Peter said here on your side, the Milky Bar kids finished off then. He's absolutely right. There's so many these government.
The point is, all I'm hearing is a lot of complaints and very few solutions. So if we can knock our heads together and come up with some answers.
The solution is not more tax.
Oh, don't say cut taxes though, because we tried that.
What I'm saying is this.
Where though? I'm sympathetic to that. But where?
Go on. This attitude that Labour are sticking with, because it's all they know, is why they took an economy which you're right to say wasn't in a brilliant place. But you did something remarkable with that economy. You made it even worse. You took an economy in 2024 which wasn't brilliant. Nobody on this panel would say it was brilliant. There were things to talk about it that might look like it was heading in the right direction. We'll never know. But one thing Labour did is they took something bad and made it worse.
I hate to pedal out the line, Paul, but it was the fastest growing economy in the G7 earlier this year.
But who did it? Okay, let's just say it was. But who benefited from it? Because it isn't anyone watching this show. It isn't any of the working people. It isn't anybody that are going to foot the tax bill when it gets increased. Whatever it is, milkshakes, dog's mess, whatever they tax next,
so
it's going to affect the working people.
And there's growth, you're unhappy with that?
No, it's not that it's growth. It's that it's growth that doesn't pass on to the working people. I've heard Bill on here. I've heard other lefties on here who escape me now, and I don't like to call them just lefties just like that, but other people on the left that have said that the FTSE's doing marvellous, that there's greatest growth in the G7. Who gives a flying flip-flop whether that is true do or not, because at the end of the day, nobody's feeling the benefit of it. The result is still the same.
Pensions are in the FTSE. Of course, when the FTSE goes up, any of us who invest in the markets, which is most of us,
pensions as well. But can I say, back to your point, back to your point about what is the solution here? Clearly, it is to cut spending, and now we're hearing that they are going to scrap the two-child benefit cap. That's going to cost about £3.6 billion a year. That is something that they could just not do because they have committed to not doing that, and instead not raise taxes on
They've also committed to solving child
tax,
poverty, and that's the easiest way to do that. I'll take you back to the press. Where are you going to cut? Where are you going to cut? I'm hearing
welfare spending.
I hope the Chancellor's watching, because she might get some ideas. She might get some ideas. Watch GB News, Rachel Reeves. We've got some ideas here for you on how you can raise money without taxing milkshakes. There we go. There is a lot more to talk about, of course, because we will have a very interesting story about our great Rachel Reeves, of course, as well. We'll be talking a lot about how rich people feel about paying the tax. And coming up, of course, we'll be crossing live to Washington, D.C., where our late show live host Ben Leo's waiting in the wings to reveal what he's bringing us from across the pond in just 30 minutes' time. We will see you very shortly, just after the break.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Into next week, it is going to be feeling much colder, some sunshine as well as some wintry showers, turning cold overnight too with some frost and also some icy stretches. Back to this evening though, and there is a chance we could possibly see some wintry showers, particularly where we see this cold front slowly sinking its way south, but for most, cloud clearing away, leaving plenty of clear skies. So it is going to be turning rather cold once again through the overnight period, a chance we could see quite a widespread frost, particularly across Scotland, northern parts of England and Northern Ireland. Also some patchy frost elsewhere across England and Wales, possibly some icy stretches, mainly across northwest England, and still some showers skirting around North Sea coasts. To start the day on Monday then, a very cold start across Scotland, a widespread frost, also some showers possible around the far north and east coasts. Northern Ireland and northwest England too should see quite a bright but chilly start to the day. There might be a little bit more cloud across eastern areas, still a chance of some showers here, but elsewhere across England and Wales, some frost, some ice possible, but hopefully brightening up through the course of the day, allowing some sunshine by the afternoon. Wall-to-wall blue skies for many areas and mostly dry, though we still do have some blustery showers skirting their way across eastern coasts. These could be wintry, mainly across the high ground of Scotland, but even elsewhere we could see some wintriness across the hills. Now it is going to be feeling much chillier, highs reaching around 9 degrees Celsius, but in those brisk northerly winds feeling much chillier. And Tuesday will bring a very unsettled day across Scotland, some quite strong winds, some gales possible, which could lead to some blizzard conditions. Quite a lot of snow affecting Scotland on Tuesday, so definitely one where we could potentially see some Met Office warnings in force. Elsewhere, a mix of showers and also some sunshine, but next week it's certainly going to be feeling much colder.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody, and joining me now ahead of The Late Show live at midnight, it's GB News' superstar, Ben Leo. Ben, what's coming up on the show tonight, mate?
Tonight, The Telegraph is reporting in the past couple of moments, well, hours actually, that the US administration here, the Trump administration, could be set to offer political asylum to Brits, particularly those who have spoken out about free speech issues, immigration issues, gender issues, all the trans debates and so on. So I thought, who best to get on the show tonight on the Late Show Live than Lucy Connolly, of course, who was banged up for, well, given at least a 2.5-year sentence for that now infamous tweet during the Southport riots. So Lucy Connolly will be joining me live just after midnight tonight in half an hour's time. And I guess the first big question to Lucy would be, are you up for becoming the first political refugee from Britain to the United States? So Lucy joins me live at midnight. Very excited to speak to her and also see how she's getting on, really, back in the real world after being banged up by, well, I was about to say Keir Starmer then, but of course, you know, the police, the courts. Elsewhere, really interesting debate. I'm going to have Helen Webberley, Dr. Helen Webberley, the British doctor who was, of course, struck off last year, who now runs gendergp.com. So this is an international website who they basically dish out gender-affirming care medication, puberty blockers, cross hormones to children as young as 9. They're launching in the United States, Alex. Which, I mean, many parents watching this will be absolutely disgusted about it, but you can basically go onto the website, you can order hormones, puberty blockers, and they'll send a prescription to your doctor. They've been slammed in recent years for being completely negligent, dishing out hormones and drugs to kids without proper screening, diagnoses and so on. Anyway, she's in the studio as well, so I'm going to be having a nice conversation with her and ask her why she thinks that the United States will welcome her. And what else is going on? Yeah, Kamala Harris, apparently, the consensus from the Democrats is that she wasn't elected because the United States is sexist. Absolutely nothing to do, of course, with her competence or ability, Alex.
It really it speaks volumes, doesn't it? Fortunately, Ben, doesn't it? It really does. I'm really looking forward to that interview with Lucy Connolly, Ben. That'll be an absolutely brilliant interview on top of what's already been a very sensational weekend for GB News in the Late Show Live there in America. Ben, what are you going to ask Lucy? Have you got some questions ready to go?
Yeah, I've not really prepared too much because I obviously am very familiar with Lucy's story. I know the context of her tweet as well. You know, the fact that she lost a baby very young, she blamed the NHS, the establishment. I really want to know, beyond the political asylum story in the US, I really want to know how Lucy's getting on these days back in the real world. How's her husband? How is her daughter? How did prison affect her? You know, I want to get into the emotion of Lucy and really drill deep into her mind. And yeah, ask that pivotal key question. Would you be up for it if the US offered it to you? Political asylum in the United States. Does she see Great Britain improving in the years ahead, or does she think America's a better prospect? So yeah, I'm looking forward to really speaking to Lucy, and I'm grateful that she's staying up late tonight to speak to me.
Brilliant stuff. Ben Leo there. Everyone tune in at midnight for the Late Show Live with Ben Leo and that fantastic interview with Lucy Connolly. You're not going to want to miss that one, I'm sure. Thanks very much for joining us, Ben. Yeah, that's going to be brilliant. I'll have to definitely be catching that one tonight. Oh, yeah. But look, there's another inside story I want to bring you back here in Britain. Angela Rayner. Talked about a lot about her lately, haven't we? She's yet to pay her 40 grand stamp duty bill, despite claims that she's laying the groundwork for a leadership challenge against the Prime Minister. Well, the former Deputy Prime Minister and Housing Secretary quit in September after she failed to pay the second home surcharge on her seaside property she'd bought in Hove. The Telegraph report that Rayner has yet to pay a single penny of it to HMRC. Well, Paul. Well. It's that clip, isn't it? I wasn't saying you haven't, by the way. I was saying, well, what have you been up to then, mate?
Paying it for
Exclusive tonight, Paul Cox. What I mean was that Rayner's she was the woman who used to go in one rule for them, one rule for everyone else. You'd think she would crack on and pay the tax, pay the fine, so she can at least clear herself and regain some dignity, but she's not done it.
Well, I said this at the time. The reason that she's fallen is because of her attitude and the way she spoke about her opposition the whole time. Like they were, she would always demean. She would always be mean about the opposition, which can be quite endearing if you're on her side, I imagine. Yeah. But if you're on the other side, it just comes across as sort of arrogant, and that's why she failed the way she did. I mean, I have absolutely no idea what the time limit is to pay that 40 grand. I mean, 40 grand even for Angela Rayner, by the way. If she's trying to save 40 grand, then she probably hasn't got 40 grand in the bank. So And if she did, she probably, I'm going to come out in favour of her slightly here. If she did, we all know that her children are a priority, and she would probably spend it on that. So she's probably looking for a way to pay this out over a longer period of time. So I'm not entirely surprised, and I don't want to hone in and go, I can't believe she hasn't paid it, because, I don't know what the ins and outs are. The point still remains, though, she rode a high horse until it fell off a cliff, and that's always going to be Angela Rayner's problem at this point, and it's just going to resurface. What I would say to Angela Rayner is, if you want to be next Prime Minister, and I think she might well be. A lot of people think I'm nuts, but I think she might well be.
I think she will be.
They don't think I'm nuts because of that. They just think I'm nuts anyway.
Oh, right, yeah, well, fair
enough. But she might well be. But she's going to have to settle this debt.
Yeah.
If that's what she wants.
That's the problem, isn't it, Ellie? It's hanging over her now. And this story's not going to go away until she's cleared the slate with it.
Yeah. She does need to pay it. Listen, we don't know when she's actually able to pay it. Is it at the end of the tax year? I'm not sure. But it's obviously just tarred her reputation. And yet, Labour don't seem to really care. We saw at Labour conference these cabinet ministers, including Wes Streeting and I mean the rest, they all called for her return to government. So, I mean, I think the ordinary Brit goes, God, these people are pushing up taxes, they're preaching everyone. And your average man who would have, who didn't pay their stamp duty tax, you get a huge fine for that, and it's a massive black mark on your name. And the fact that she thinks she could just get away with it is actually appalling and shocking. So I don't think the ordinary Brit would forgive her for it, but maybe the Parliamentary Party does. So she could come back by them. And the unions, indeed, are on her side. So.
Yeah, very true. I mean, Sebastian, there's a new tax policy here for Rachel Reeves. Why don't you just tax all the disgraced ministers and sack people in the Labour Party so they might raise some extra money?
Sebastian, what do you say about that?
God, yeah. Well, thank you all for filling the air so deftly. I had time to read the story. Turns out HMRC hasn't sent her a final bill. So there we go. That's why she hasn't paid it.
Well, it does help, though, when you're one of your best mates is the Chancellor, doesn't it? I mean, that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that she's a texter, of course. 17 grand in severance pay, though, I believe she got, hasn't she? So she's not exactly, she's not scraping the bottom of the barrel.
It's only half of the payment, even.
Our outrage is not interested in your facts, by the way.
I've gathered that.
Don't come on here.
Time on
don't come on here and say HMRC haven't asked. She should have just offered it. She should have doubled it instead of 80.
Yeah. Why do you have to wait to be asked?
Well, look, on the topic of left-wing chaos, because there's another day, another fallout in your party. I mean, it's that party, the Corbyn party, Jezbollah, whatever you want to call it. Iqbal Mohammed has sparked the fury of the party's co-founder, or is she still co-founder? I don't know. Zara Sultana, by saying that hard-won rights of biological women must not be taken away. This led to Sultana insisting that a pro-trans position must be non-negotiable for the party. And, of course, comes days after Adnan Hussain, for the independent MP for Blackburn, quits the party over its toxic culture after Hussain said that trans women are not biologically women. It's just complete chaos, isn't it? It's just the people, they don't have a clue, do they? And it seems to me there's one problem in that party, and it's Zara Sultana. The rest of them all seem to kind of broadly agree on some matters. But Zara Sultana's going, no. There's got to be a trans thing here. No.
If we just park Jeremy Corbyn for a moment, I've been trying to park him for years, but he keeps coming back. This whole party is built on a foundation of sand, and that sand appears to be Sultana's ego and hubris. This whole thing seems to have become a conduit for her to make herself important in British politics. The reason we talk about her so much is because she says fairly outrageous things. In the same way, somebody from the left, like Sebastian, and there are lots of them, by the way, might look at GBNews and think that's outrageous. From our perspective, we look at Sultana and think she is nuts. She really is nuts. I mean, the whole idea that you can build a party that's going to last the test of time on the trans debate now is for the birds. The trans debate has peaked. Ever since the Supreme Court made its ruling, every big juggernaut corporate that flew the trans flag in order to make themselves look important have now pulled that down and said, no, there are two sexes, end of chat. And Sultana will win over a cohort of people by talking this way, but it's never getting any bigger. They're already with her. She's not converting anyone.
Yeah, this is it, Ellie, because, you know, the problem the left have got on this issue is that actually Your Party pro-Gaza MPs like, you know, Adnan Hussein are quite socially conservative, I'd argue, and actually they're a little bit, their views are with Islam on social conservatism, which is, you know, very, very much, you know, woman's a woman, a man's a man. Maybe something we could all agree on, actually, funnily enough. But Zara Sultana wants this party to be a more of a woke left party, a bit more like the Green Party. You could argue it could be a distinguishing factor, a difference between the Green Party and Your Party if one of them took a stance on biological women versus trans women, but no, not.
I mean, Your Party has been a sham from the start. They're fighting over... Do you remember when Zara Sultana launched the membership and she got £200,000 from people, you know, handing over their 50 quid or their £5 a month? And Corbyn went, hang on a minute, no, we haven't. And now they're fighting over the funds over that. And so the whole thing is totally shambolic. And I think they're going nowhere fast at the end of the day. And as you said, the people who are really pro-Gaza, maybe very woke, want to welcome all migrants and asylum seekers, they're going to Polanski because at least they're kind of a united front on that. You know, there's one man in charge. This is the difficulty with having Zara and Corbyn, who are actually opposed on a lot of ideas. And like the left, they just love to infight. I mean, like some of those on the right, they love to infight. So I don't see this party going anywhere, actually, at the end of the day, especially as long as Zara's there making her noise. She is a little bit nutty. You're right, her ego gets in the way of it all. And Corbyn sort of seems to be like left out in the lurch all the time. He's sort of blindsided by her ex-posts and Your Party posts, and I actually almost feel sorry for him for the first time ever.
Sebastian, what do you make of it all?
I think the problem is they're chasing ideological purity, and it's the reason they didn't get elected in the first place when Corbyn was leader of the Labour Party. And the problem is everybody's idea of purity is different, and they're learning this now. They're rutting and clashing heads, and I let them have their fun. I just don't think anything's going to come of it. At the very best, they're going to end up splitting the vote. You've got the Greens, very well organised, very well established, and crucially, they have the data. This is the thing that every political party needs. Your party doesn't have that data because they haven't been out year on year door knocking, and that is a real disadvantage.
It's exposing this kind of weird arranged marriage that the left, that purist left, have with the Muslim faith. Like, they've put themselves together to say, we're just like you. We don't like being oppressed by Western society. And it doesn't match because quite ideologically, the Muslim faith is very conservative, almost more conservative than the Christian faith. So it doesn't work. And within Sultana, I believe she's a Muslim, and a number of people of the Muslim faith are attracted towards her. But those two things will never match. Well, this is one of the reasons that Corbyn has spent a whole career trying to align himself with the Middle East, and the Muslim faith, because he sees them as partners in crime. But when it comes down to it, and when they fight over the nitty-gritty, they're so far apart, it will always fall apart. It's what Zach Polanski's been able to do is coalesce around an argument or a group of people and not say that he is one thing or the other. That too is going to fall apart too. Because what the Green Party have done is, as I hate to put it in these terms, is they've gone, we want one of them, one of them, one of them, across the ideology of identity politics smorgasbord, and that's going to fall apart too because they don't believe in the same thing. What you'll find in Reform is whether you hate it or not, they all believe the same thing. And they have a history of believing the same thing, and I think ultimately that will win out over the scary stuff we're seeing on the left.
It will be interesting on the left because I think particularly with Corbyn, who is actually really the big name in the Your Party. I think Sultana seems to think she is, but I think if you asked 90%, 99% even of the British public who's Jeremy Corbyn, they might know the name. Far more likely to than Zara Sultana. I think anyone will know who she is. But there we go. This is the problem, isn't it? And it reminds me of that little clip that I don't know if we saw in Whitechapel recently, where there was the blokes in masks, the Muslim blokes marching through Whitechapel, and then one of them bumped into somebody, and he goes, "Oh, mate, we're on the same side." This lefty, this woke lefty, and then the Muslim lefty. I would say maybe he's a righty, maybe he's a social conservative, and he just turned around and go, "No, we're not." And there you go. I think that sums it up, doesn't it? That is Your Party versus the Greens versus the infighting. That's how it's going to all end up. Anyway, loads more to talk through. Some really interesting stuff here about striking doctors. Are you one of the people affected? Tune in just a moment.
the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact that Trump made a good start, no.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show. It's not a bad brand. Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What does she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Ray.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, let's get cracking on another inside story, because in the Mail, they're reporting there's pressure on the Prime Minister to talk Trump out of his £5 billion legal threat to the BBC. Keir Starmer was under intense pressure last night to persuade Donald Trump not to pick the pocket of the British taxpayer by suing the BBC for that, of course, very expensive $5 billion. The Prime Minister was due to hold a crunch phone call with the President as the fallout intensifies over the corporation, twice doctoring footage of his speech before the storming of the Capitol in the United States on January 6, 2021. Of course, the BBC apologised but have declined to pay compensation. Now, Mr. Trump said he would seek damages of up to the, $5 billion or the $1 billion, between one of those two numbers at least. He had originally threatened to do that. He's set to launch his defamation lawsuit in Florida this week. And it emerged last night that lawyers for the broadcaster have told the president it has no case to answer, claiming that no one in the US could watch the Panorama show. That's the heart of the row, of course, and that no damage was done to his reputation. What do you all think, Sebastian? Do you think the president is right to sue the BBC?
I mean, it's a very Trump move, isn't it? He's come from the world of showbiz, and what have we got? A massive sum of money and a deadline. It's perfect Trump material. Is it going to go anywhere? Probably not. I'm not a lawyer. Least of all, am I an American lawyer? But at the end of the day, this was broadcast a week before the US election in the UK. If you're watching it in the US, you shouldn't have been able to see it. You're doing something dodgy with a VPN. So the damage is minimal, clearly. I think the BBC is doing the right thing. They should have apologised, of course. They messed up. But should they cough up our money? Absolutely not.
It's interesting, the defence. I mean, I agree with almost everything you said there, Sebastian, which is not something I should say out loud. But I do. But interesting, that's the defence, because there are 300,000 Americans living in the UK who could have seen that, who would be able to vote. And now, if they'd voted postally, which you assume they would do, maybe the timing wouldn't have worked out. But that's 1% of the US population. So therefore, there is potential there.
Yes, but then you have to argue that it was Trump that created the storming of the Capitol, and there are people on record who have said, I did it because of Trump. So is this changing anyone's behaviour? I don't think it was.
OK, they're also, I mean, we can't go into it now, but there are also arguments that could fall down quite quickly legally, because, you know, if the big boy at school told you to smoke the cigarettes or jump off the fence, is that what you would do? No, you wouldn't. And by the way, the BBC have cast a lot of doubt over what you just said, because they spliced two videos together, which makes those that are in any doubt think, I don't trust the BBC whatsoever. Yeah. So I don't think that stands up.
Isn't it? I almost hope that he doesn't actually sue the BBC, because it is our money, which is another thing that all of these scandals have brought back the conversation of why do we have to pay for the BBC? We are forced to pay for this. And it wasn't just the Trump video, the panorama video, but it was other things like that BBC Verify investigation that discovered that insurance firms are charging ethnic minorities more. Totally fake news. It was just false. And this is all stuff that we have to pay for. And instead, I mean, scrap the BBC licence fee for a start, and people can choose to watch shows like GBNews, like Sky News. They don't have to pay for it.
Yes.
We have to pay for this utter guff from the BBC. And also the way that they basically tried to cover it up was another issue.
Totally agree. I don't actually think the president is going to sue them, particularly if he doesn't think he can win. It would look very embarrassing for the president of the United States if he can't successfully sue the BBC. You don't want to give them a victory, that's for sure. But I do think that the BBC need to learn a lesson from this, and they need to learn a serious lesson. I don't want to see the BBC shut down. I don't think it would be good for Britain to see the BBC close. I do think they have been, very, very willingly, doctoring clips. BBC Verify putting out its own fake information on occasion. We've called that out here many times. And this sort of left-leaningness to the BBC is what's turning it off for average Brits, who, by the way, I don't believe GBNews would exist without the BBC failing so badly.
No, it wouldn't do. And they just need to be more transparent. The BBC is just as much an opinions factory as any of the other news outlets. They are giving you their opinion on the news. It's not how it was when I was growing up. When I was growing up, a man in a suit wearing a tie would tell you the news factually. And I'm not that old. I'm 45. I'm talking the 80s here. So times have changed, and they just need to admit it. I think by going out Tim Davie, who, by the way, was a Conservative councillor, which seems to be the left's argument that the BBC were right, but going out and saying that they were the best of society, for me, that is the soundbite that tells anybody who's keenly listening exactly what's going on at the BBC.
I'd also say that just saying you're a Conservative or being a Conservative councillor doesn't assume you're right-wing, to be quite honest, because I know plenty of Tories that are not right-wing by my definition.
But that's true, but clearly, I mean, the BBC is huge. It's not just news, right? And so if you're head of that, it's very difficult to manage. I mean, Deborah Turner, who was the head of BBC News, absolutely was left-wing, and she should have gone. And I think Tim Davie was right to go as well. But he was clearly weak, because when these claims and these reports were first brought to him, he should have gone, right, who did this? Sack them immediately. Let's make sure we'll announce that we're sacking these guys, or this consulting firm that we've hired, the production team hired. So the next Director General must be totally tough.
I'm going to have to cut you off. I'm so sorry. I've got a response here from the BBC I have to read, but thank you very much, panel. The BBC has said no further contact from President Trump's lawyers at this point, a spokesperson for the corporation said in a letter to President Trump on Thursday. The broadcaster also said, while the BBC sincerely regrets the manner in which the video clip was edited, we strongly disagree there is a basis for a defamation claim. Okie dokie then, everybody. Well, here we go. We've got just a rerun of your papers. The Metro, cruel to be kind, biggest migrant reforms for a generation. The Eye, asylum seekers face 20-year wait to settle in the UK. The Guardian, most sweeping reforms to asylum rules in a generation. The Mail, lawyers and Labour MPs to torpedo Mahmoud's asylum plan. The Times, first states face visa ban in migrant returns push. The Telegraph, take back migrants or face visa ban. The Express, early release, a betrayal of victims' families. The Star, please bid Queen of the Jungle for Kelly Brook. The Sun, Maddie suspects camp nowhere to hide. The Mirror, humiliation for Andrew getting out of the Falkland Islands. That's all we've got time for, everybody. Up next is the one and only Ben Lee over The Late Show Live.
Hello, tonight on The Late Show Live, Alex, viewers and listeners, big show coming up because the United States administration here, President Trump, is reportedly planning to offer Brits political asylum, particularly those who have spoken out against free speech, migration, trans issues. So who better to talk about that than a one, Lucy Connolly. She joins me live in just a few minutes. Very excited. I'll see you there.
There's just 2 weeks left to see how you could win your Christmas this year paid for by us. First, we'll give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash. Then we'll give you a further £10,000 cash to spend on all your Christmas presents, even the tree. Christmas lunch, that's on us too, with £1,000 in shopping vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. Finally, a GB News Christmas goodie bag. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge, or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's political podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's political podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there.
Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah.
Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight on the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace
Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
isn't it?
no,
Because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my